You know, that's what these games are going to be. You know, we talked in film 2 days ago, like, you know, this was going to be a February type of game. You know, this was like playing all the teams at the top half of Atlantic 10. In those games, like, you got to bring it for 40, and we didn't quite have it for 40. And when you don't have it for 40, you know, you end up in a one possession game like we did, and end up on the wrong end of it. But you know, the effort was there, the fight was there. We slipped a couple times on some coverage stuff, and you know, let them have opportunities to make the right play, and they did. And you know, unfortunately, when we had the opportunity, we were not able to do so. And you know, we'll learn from it and be ready for when we see these types of games again. You know, in January, February, and March.
How much of the mental errors for you guys was because of what they were doing and maybe the disjointed way that they play, and how much of it is just stuff that you guys need to correct?
I gotta look at it to really kind of break it down. You know, there were a couple like game slippage things that we haven't had in a while. You know, at the end of the first half, they ghost out on the ball screen where you don't set it and just kind of slip out. We let Hall get a 3 there. Like, you know, we've done a good job on guys like that. And then tonight, you know, he goes and gets 7 threes and was the best player in the game, you know, and makes 5 of them. So, you know, we've seen a lot of guys like that through this early part of the season, and we've been able to limit their opportunities. And tonight we didn't limit his opportunities. And then when that happens, you get plays like late in the game when the ball pops loose and he ends up with the ball on the wing, and you know, he's open for 3. You know, and then you know, so that's. I would say there's probably some balance to that, right? Like, hey, things that they did, things that we slipped up on, you know, and they took advantage.
And there, you all had 3 shot clock violations too, which I don't think I've seen here in a long time. What causes that? Is there a disconnect on offense, or is it you just chalk it up to one of those nights?
We got stagnant in the half court, and you know, it's been something that early on we worked out of it. We were able to get that ball flowing and moving pretty good, and then recently I've been feeling it again and trying to get us back to that. So that'll be a big emphasis, you know, tomorrow when we watch film. And you know, when we made the run, it was off of our defense, right? We made a run in transition off of our defense. We've got to be able to execute in the half court. We did in the first half. We were able to get to our stuff and make the right plays and right reads. And then tonight in the second half, like, we didn't have it. Now with that, we got some great looks, and we, you know, unfortunately, you know, 33% in the second half, like, you know, even with some stagnant offense. But we got to get better movement in the half court, both body and ball movement in the half court, getting that thing side to side and open up the floor.
Was there a reason for kind of a smaller rotation tonight? Only maybe used to seeing 10-man rotation, now down to 8.
Yeah, I mean, just guys were being effective in their minutes, so sticking with them. You know, and you know, sometimes in those big boy games, like, it shrinks a little bit. So, but a lot of it had to do with just the matchups that we had, the combinations we had that were kind of working for us, and just trying to go back to them quickly.
Coming into the game, number 10, Voljan, was top 10 in the nation in terms of rebounding, averaging just under 12 a game. He only had 3 this game. Was there a certain game plan going in on trying to limit him into the boards, and then also 17 offensive rebounds as well? Could you talk about the rebound?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had to make sure we kept him off the offensive glass. I thought our gang rebounding in the first half, you know, and for some of that was, you know, saying to Lazar and Keyshawn and Mike and whoever's on him, like, he doesn't get it, right? Sometimes you have that, right? Like a shooter where you're like, he doesn't get the ball, he doesn't get shot. A rebounder like that, an offensive rebounder is getting 4 offensive rebounds a game. He can't get it. So you do whatever you do to keep him from getting it, and somebody else has to clean it up. I thought in the first half, when we really got playing, it was off of that. Like, we were able to get those gang rebounds. You know, defensively, it's hard to game plan against somebody getting defensive rebounds. Why he only got 3, I don't really, or, you know, 2 defensive rebounds, I don't really know. But a lot of it did have to do with our offensive rebounds. And that was something we wanted to make a major emphasis on getting on the glass and attacking the glass against them. And we were successful doing that. Now we need more second chance points off of that. We left some twos on the table. Off of that, we're like, we gotta go finish. Get the rebound, go finish, and get 17 offensive rebounds. Only have 16 second chance points. That number needs to be higher. And if it is, we win the game.
Yeah, Coach, that's the back half of a home and home. Would you schedule it again?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're always looking for games like that. And it's hard next year going out to Maui. We have some strategic things that we need to figure out. But I think Mountain West, Atlantic 10, the upper echelon of those two leagues, should be looking at playing, right? And whether they're neutrals, home and homes, whatever. Like I said before, we're not ducking anybody. I'd like to get some high-level teams like that in the region that will play us.
80 to 78. I think for a few possessions in a row there at the end, what did you feel like went awry on those offensively for y'all? Were you trying to go through Lazar?
Yeah, we were trying to, run some action, and honestly, I don't know. Like we kind of uncharacteristically, we're throwing the ball to Lazar. We shouldn't. We're throwing the ball, kind of anticipating a play, right? Like Lazar was looking for Nick to slip. It was open. Nick didn't see it. It's okay. But we can't just throw the ball. Leave it out there. You have to be sure in those situations and execute better. And, again, we'll watch it, we'll work on it. I told them in that huddle, there was 3:40 left at the media timeout. It was 75-75. We've done that since the summertime. Put 3 something on the clock, put 4 something on the clock, tie game, down 1, down 2, up 2, down 1, and play those situations out. And I said to them, like, this is what we've done this time and time and time again. Unfortunately, it's one of those days when we just didn't make one more play.
Is part of that just cohesion among a group, still getting used to playing together, and that hadn't been in those moments before, right?
Yeah, I mean that definitely plays a factor, right? Like it's like you have to go through those moments, and I've said before, like that collective experience, you got to get that. We don't have a ton of that. We've gotten some, which is good. We've been in some of these situations and been able to learn from them. This is another one. We got to figure out what went wrong, what went right. Try to have the next time we're in a situation, and we certainly will be again. We got to have more things go right than go wrong, and unfortunately tonight was not one of those nights.
In those late game moments, sometimes a couple players rotating in and out, sometimes for defense, sometimes for offense. How tough is it to have a specific 5 on the court in those big situations when you have many players who could fit in different areas?
Well, when you get into those situations, it is about that possession, right? Right. What do we need on this possession? We need a defensive lineup. What do we need on this possession? We need an offensive lineup. So it's not hard. I mean, I think we're pretty well established with that. We kind of know what our roles are and what our expectations are, and so it's that's typical, right? You see that in every game, offense, defense, and kind of making those rotations.
Given how Terrence is shooting, you talked about teams starting to key off on him a little more defensively. Did he see some of that tonight, especially late in the game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the one possession we drove the ball from the wing and from the bench, and he was, I had a tape measure, but he was probably 36 feet from the basket, and they were hugged up on him, and you could hear them yelling the whole time, every time, to face guard him. So, we got to get him in more screening actions where he's a screener. And he's got to be patient, knowing, all right, like there's going to be times I'm just trying to take you away, and then we can take advantage of that. That's a major bonus for us. I've said before, like if they're going to go guard him that way and guard him that far from the basket, that's opening the floor for guys like Bam and Brandon and Barry and go down the line, Lazar, to be able to go drive the ball and score.
And Coach, what was the message to your players today, and also what are some positive takeaways from tonight?
Yeah, I mean the message is like we gotta respond. Like you handle failure, you handle success. We've done both of those things at different times through the early portion of the season. So we got to do it again. And show up tomorrow. We got to have an edge to us all the time. We didn't have our edge coming out of halftime. I don't know why. I will probably toss and turn all night just trying to figure that out. I don't know why we came out of halftime like a little bit flat. you know, but we gotta have an edge the whole time. And that's what we've been talking about these last probably 2 weeks since we came back from the Bahamas. We gotta keep that edge, keep that edge, keep that edge, and not just in the midst of the game, but when we show up to practice, we gotta have that edge, and it can't dip, you know. And we gotta find that. We gotta find that and have that. You know, the number one of the main keys in our specials before the game was our mentality for 40 minutes. We had it for 20 minutes, 25, maybe even 30 minutes, I don't know. But we didn't have it for the full 40. We could beat.
Maybe one more.
Just talk about Brandon's all-around performance. His stat line is outstanding: 13 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks. Did a little bit of everything for y'all tonight. Is that just indicative of all the things that he brings to this group?
Yeah, I mean, that's him, right? Like he's just one of those guys. Like you know, and I guess it does get on there because it's an offensive rebound. But like we talk a lot about winning plays. Well, winning plays on the free throw line, he gets a free throw offensive rebound. Like that's a huge play in that game. You know, poking balls loose, things like that. Like, you know, the kid's a winner. You know, everybody around here knows that. You know, I'm not saying anything new. Like he's a winner. He goes makes winning plays. That's why we trust him and why he's out there. And you know, and you can see his confidence growing by the day. It's not always there as much as it should be probably at this point in time, but you can see it growing by the day. And you know, you need him to continue to grow in that confidence.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Phil.
Sorry.